Hello people. Today we have this custom built 1911 chambered in 22 long rifle. It's really hard to see these receiver markings with the thumb safety in the way. But it reads Metro-Arms-Corp, Manila, Philippines, imported by RSA Inc., Ocean, New Jersey. Serial number on this one is A03098. And then on the other side, on the slide, it reads Wilson Combat. And then just in front of the rear sight, it appears the slide has its own serial number. It reads CA0447. So of course this is a parts gun. This is not a factory pistol. The conversion kit with the magazine came together from Wilson Combat, manufactured by Marvell Precision. So this is simply a Marvell conversion kit that was engraved with the Wilson name, and more than likely a batch of serial numbers that are consistent with a Wilson order. And then the receiver, I assume, was pulled from a 45. I'm not really sure. It appears as if the trigger is a Wilson skeletonized lightweight trigger, their standard model trigger they use on all their guns. A flat checkered mainspring housing at 30 lines per inch. Wilson hammer and a Wilson tactical ambidextrous thumb safety with an extended magazine release. And then Wilson grips. These are the diamond wood grips in the full checker pattern. And then the magazine, of course, is a triple K, I believe. It's a Colt copy. It's a copy of a Colt magazine, but the manufacturer would have been triple K for this contract, I believe. They ground off the slide stop catch so that the slide doesn't lock the slide to the rear. And they installed a Wilson Combat base pad, but they ground off the front toe to be consistent with the length that's necessary for this particular magazine. So if the slide was to lock to the rear after the last round, this is an aluminum slide and it's a steel slide stop. So over a lot of use, of course, it would take some time, but eventually that wall would get eaten up. And so in an effort to eliminate that as an issue, these magazines are not going to lock this slide to the rear. It's a plinker. It's meant for target shooting. It's not really meant for tactical reloads. All right, let's talk about disassembly and then reassembly. Of course, the first thing you want to do is clear the gun. Lock the slide to the rear manually. This tool comes with the Marvell Precision Kit, or the Marvell conversion kit. If you don't happen to have this wrench, it's a 5/32 socket. Turn counterclockwise, and you only have to turn it a quarter turn or half a turn, and then let the slide come to the rear, come back in battery, and you'll feel the slide get a little looser, and it's because the barrel's getting a little looser. And then just push on the slide stop pin, and it'll start to drift through. So the notch on this slide is not lined up like a traditional 45 slide or a larger caliber slide. This notch is lined up perfectly with the slide stop, so you don't have to pull the slide to the rear and hold it. You just have to push on the pin and then grab the body of the slide stop and pull it out. And then just simply pull the slide right off the frame. Of course, you've got to get it over the disconnector. The disconnector's got to drop in order for the slide to come out. So if your disconnector hole is dirty, it's filled with debris, if it's just not moving, then you'll have a little bit of a hard time with that. Slide simply comes off and you're left with your lower, just like a traditional 1911. And I could put a 45 upper or whatever on top of this and just keep running with it. However, this receiver has been damaged beyond use. This feed ramp was ground away. A lot of material was ground away to match the barrel while the barrel was seated down into the rear. That's not at all how you fit a frame to a barrel. If anything, you're just polishing those components. You're not grinding away on these surfaces to make anything match. They should be close. You just need to polish. Regardless, this frame is no longer usable for a 45. Too much material has been removed. However, 22 conversion kits come with their own feed ramp. Because of the dimensions of a 22 caliber round, the feed ramp has to sit farther to the rear, but you're not even using the feed ramp on the receiver at this point. So, installing a conversion kit and using this damaged frame as a dedicated 22 receiver, it's perfect. Simply put the slide back on the frame, and if it's clean now, then the disconnector is going to drop down very easily. And you just let it line up with the rear of the receiver. Grab your slide stop. Now, one thing I want to show you about the slide stop is the pin is an independent part from the paddle itself. And then there's an Allen screw. So there's 3 separate parts there. It holds it all together. You're not supposed to take this apart. If this screw comes out, you'll need to clean it, get all the Loctite off of it, use more Loctite, put it back together, make sure it doesn't come back apart. Simply slide the pin through the receiver, going through the barrel lug. And like a traditional 1911 and 45, you've got to push in and up to displace the slide stop detent. But because you don't have to hold the slide to the rear, this is considerably easier. Lock the slide to the rear now. Grab your Allen wrench or your 5/32 wrench and turn clockwise. And it doesn't have to be really tight. You don't want to turn so tight that you're damaging the pin of the slide stop with the rod, because that's what's happening. You're bottoming out this rod into the body of the pin, and that's why the paddle needs to be a separate piece from the pin itself, because the pin's not moving now. The pin is locked in place. So in order for the paddle to move, it has to be an independent part. But this setup makes for a rock solid barrel. Your slide is going to be, you're going to have a little bit of movement in your slide, but there's no movement in your barrel. Your barrel is rock solid. And that's why these conversions are considered to be very good target 22s for a 1911 receiver. Thanks for watching, people.